And so it is, good day to you. We are here. Some of you know us, some of you do not. We are at Ronda. And we bring with us an entire council of light just to reflect your light. You see, dearest ones, you are the reason we came here from the 17th dimension. We have many who ask about us, many who don't understand, and our message is always allow the new energy within you to be present. We are an activator of your Akash, dearest. We work deeply in your emotional body, and we honor you for your work, your plurk, as we like to say, because we believe everything should be play plus work, which equals plurk. You see, beings of light, your work, your plurk, if you think of it as work, it's just not quite enough. It's just not quite the energy of it. That this is the play of the dolphins, beings. This is the play of the whales. This is the play of your soul who has decided to come back here, to arrive. Our vessel Marilyn has met and sat with the Guru Deva. He recognized her as the Lemurian that she is. He recognized her and brought us through with that energy. You see, dearest, you never know quite where the next moment is going to happen. You never know quite when the next activity is going to ignite within your soul. So we are playing in your heart chakras. We are acknowledging, as our dear divine Kalei acknowledges, the magnificence that is within you. Yet we ask you to wonder why you think of yourself as so small sometimes. You are not. You are who you are back here to assist in the shift of this planet. We are here to remind you of who you are. That brilliance, that light, that eminence of joy, of love. We are here to hold you always in that heart of unconditional love that only the great masters can share with you. You see, dearest, we see into your soul. And even if we just said nothing, the activation of your Akash would still be expanded. From your soul to theirs. From our soul to yours, from your soul to ours. It's a soul-to-soul connection. Huh? You see, with that energy, all is possible. With that vibration and that frequency, all is possible as the mountains rise up from the earth to come again as Lemuria rises. You see, you are a part of that earth. The message for our vessel Marilyn yesterday from Pele was never let anyone else define you. And of course, being our vessel Marilyn, she argued, she said, can't you move that to the positive? Always define yourself. And Pele relay spoke to her heart just as she spoke to yours. And you were gifted with a part of her energy to bring into your home. That is rare. You see, you are dropping your energy everywhere around this planet. Everywhere where the magnificence of the notes are playing with the DNA in your body. That vibration shifts your consciousness to be you. And we charge you with being the love that you are. We acknowledge you with living that love, to know that there could be more, there could be less, but it is all in its divine perfection. You got the call to be here. The universe tapped on your shoulder, tapped on your aura to bring that activation here. And for some, it was such a huge activation that you sort of lost your balance once you arrived and had to anchor it again in the soul of your universal wisdom. With that energy, we want you to breathe into the soul of your universal Akash. It is not so important about who you were or what you did or how many blah blah blahs that you ever had. We don't care. The important thing is that you acknowledge that remembrance of your magnificence. That you acknowledge that remembrance of the love that is interactive within you. That you remember who you are and then be who you are now. As we work with as we plurk with our selenite swords of light to activate all that is within you, you set the intention to remove whatever you would like to integrate so it is no longer in charge, and activate all that is within you that is destined to be activated for your next step, for your next connection, for your next interaction, for your next sweetheart, for your next partner, for your next love, for yourself. That is who you are. That is what we are here to do, to say, to be, to have, and to hold in your emotional body. Because we believe that is where the change happens first, just as in the center of the earth. That change bubbles forth from the core. And we are going to be bubbling up just for you. So we honor that. We hold that energy. And we bring our selenite swords of light, although airport security calls them wands, to activate you and your Akash and whatever is in your highest good to be activated.
Beloved ones, we greet thee. 'Tis Alcazar. Listen to these sounds. These sounds were created by this master here. of the Stargate. We invite you all to close the eyes. For as we all talk to you, we are sharing far more than words, than information. There is an energy transmission coming through these four on the stage. Relax and allow. You are all totally unique. And each one of you will be touched in your own unique way by these energies and by these words. You have been drawn here to this gathering for different reasons. Many remember or feel that you have been here in ancient times, in the times of Lemuria. What is important is the now. What is important is how you allow your own divinity, your own sacredness to be lived in your daily life. You have heard how the Pleiadians prepared this beautiful earth for you. You have heard Kryon say that you were there watching the process even as the earth herself was born. So who are you? You are not this body that you are seated in right now. Who are you? Beloveds, you are all, without exception, extraterrestrials. You have lived elsewhere before you came to this earth. This is a beautiful experiment of the evolution of this very universe. We have said many times, humanity is on the leading edge of creation. Hard for the mind to accept at first if you look at your world right now. But if you look at those who are gathered here with you and those like yourselves in the hundreds of thousands around the world who are opening to the vastness of your potential, you can begin to feel transformation is already happening within self and within humanity. You have heard from Kryon that the darkness is struggling to survive, but will not. And this is something we all are beginning to recognize. It is about living your truth in the moment, being your true self as you move around in your daily life. we introduce to you the Lemurian masters. And we would like right now for each one of you just to invite them once more to come and join this gathering. So please, just asking inside for the presence of the Lemurian masters. And just allow for the possibility that simply by your asking, they respond. When they joined you 2 days ago, they sent a transmission to each one of you, a unique transmission just for you. They are now going to bring another energetic into this room. Some of you may feel it in a few moments. It is going to start right now. And as before, almost imperceptible in the beginning. This transmission is to bring you support, courage to live that which you know, to allow that inner knowing to come forth in the appropriate moments. The courage to live your truth in a respectful, honoring way of all those around you, whenever and wherever you are. You are vast beings. You are slowly beginning to grasp this. You have lived elsewhere before you came to this earth. You have always been. Hard for the human mind initially to accept. But as you connect more and more to your higher dimensional DNA, your Akash, feelings, memories start to return. Beloved ones, it is time to know who you truly are. Humanity, when you arrived here, came into frequencies of beauty and joy, and through the generations moved into the darkness of conflict, negativity. Hard to understand, but it was meant to be. And now, after this turmoil, after these trials, you are reawakening. You here gathered and those hearing these words through recordings are on the leading edge of awakening. Know this. So many have lived very difficult lives. Why? Because, beloveds, when you came into this lifetime, you agreed to have a struggle. to be repressed in different ways, to experience difficulties, because you knew as an advanced soul you could live through these struggles, these difficulties, these abuses. And then, as your awareness and understanding grew, you could let them go. Their influence would dissolve, disappear from your life. And as you became free of those things in the past, you would be creating more light, more love, more understanding for yourself. And then, simply by your connection to the morphic field of humanity, you will be radiating this understanding, transforming one dark line through your lineage, dissolving it into light and understanding, helping others, making transformation easier for those who follow behind you. Beloved ones, you are greatly honored for the struggle, the strife, not just in this lifetime, but allow it to complete in this lifetime. No need to carry the pain any further than now. As you know, there are many, many here in this gathering unseen who love you greatly. There are the guides from all kinds of realms who are here with you right now, who love you and are available in this moment to assist you dissolve some of the final attachments to the pains and limitations from the past. If you would like assistance in this, in becoming free of limitations known and maybe still unknown, just say inside, yes, I am ready. I am ready to receive that assistance. And relax. And feel a gentle, loving energy coming to you. Don't expect a tidal wave. Just feel a subtle energy coming to you. Understand, as you raise your consciousness, as you become more aware, there's no need for strong energies. Subtle energies are incredibly powerful, transformational. So relax and tune in to the very subtle energy that is coming to you now. For beloved ones, we are with you. It is time to be free. We will be silent just for a few moments. Just feel the subtle energies around you. You have come from around the universe to this place to create something that has never occurred before in the whole of this universe. It is time to remember why you came. In great love and honoring, we bless thee. And we will talk to you again very soon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. You realize the information that is being given by all of these who are touching the other side of the veil. The information is starting to be personal. 2 days ago, I gave you history. We presented a channel that literally needed the Akash from the humans that were sitting next to me, pulling upon them as well as the information from the past. If the channel sounded a bit different, it was. For it was channeled from 3 places. From the Akash of those around me, and that which I have for you from the past. This is not the way of new channeling. This is the way of intuition. That as you start to expand, information that you are going to glean from what you believe is your higher self is also going to come from a collective. It's time to stop being so linear in your spirituality. My partner mentioned the culture of oneness. And from birth they learn that they are not singular, that they are connected. And all of their lives, the connection is with one another, with Gaia, with God. Oneness is a description, not of selflessness, but of self-fulfillment. When you realize that you're not alone, and you never were alone, and you never will be alone. Dear ones, I want to talk just a little more about the Star Mothers. Just a little more. And then I want to pull it to something personal for you. Lemurian children all knew who the Star Mothers were. It wasn't hard to tell. Humanity, as you know it, is quite a bit taller than it used to be. It has to come from knowledge, nutrition, evolution, numbers of things. Lemurians were not all that tall either. But the Pleiadians, well, now they are taller than you are. In their physical form, they are taller than you are. So now you can imagine how tall they seemed to the children. It was no secret who they were. Star mothers. And when the star mothers started teaching the 5 spokes around the great central hub, I told you 2 days ago about how this information started simply and then would expand. And I gave you the names that were memorized of the 5 spokes around the hub. Some of you have put this together, and I didn't mention it then. I wanted to wait till now. What do you think the advanced information would be? What would come after years of teaching to the children to the age of 13, where they would split in, then be taught in genders? The beginning, if you want to say, of the sisterhood. What could come after that that hadn't been taught in all those years? And this is where it gets good. Because then the teaching turned to the 6 spaces around the 5 spokes. I'm not going to go through a lineage of what the 6 are, dear ones. Someday I will. The children didn't learn their names. The children had no awareness of the spaces. The children only saw the physical, the 5. The children only saw the hub. And until the age 13, they concentrated on the 5, the circumference, the hub, the oneness, never understanding that the real teaching were the 6 spaces. Because, dear ones, here is a basic truth. Everything you see, everything you feel, everything you believe is real is a tiny fraction of what is there. And in the spaces between the spokes are the truths of God, of the universe, of physics, of the human body, of compassion, of love. They started out being shown and taught that what you see is not all that is there. So many of you know this. You think you see fine with your eyes until you realize you're only seeing one wavelength. You think you're feeling everything and smelling what you can until you realize that an animal can do it 100 times better than you. There is so much that is unseen and unknown that your senses are not even tuned for. Who among you regularly can see and analyze a human Merkaba? Right now, as I speak, there is an invisible energy that is new, that is pouring from Stargate. It's invisible. There is so much in the spaces. So much. One of the spaces I'll give away, and that is the secret to health. Not to long life, because that is one of the spokes. The secret to health. And that you meet innate. Innate is invisible. Innate is the smart body. Innate is tuned to the pineal, to the higher self, to the oneness. Innate is the bridge from 3 dimensions to many. That's in the cracks, in the spaces between the spokes. And then you get to the ones that are so precious, so divine, so sacred. You start to learn about love. You all know about love, don't you? And if I could ask you, what is the main thing that you could say about love of any kind on this planet? Love between humans, the love of God, the love of you and your infant, the love of you and an animal. What is it? And you'll say, it's thick. I can feel it. And I would say, what does it look like? And you would say, well, it's invisible. But all of you know what it is. You sense it, you feel it, you count on it, you desire it, you crave it, you bathe in it. When you hug the tree, you feel the love of Gaia. Perhaps when you stand outside with your arms raised to the ocean, you feel the love of those around you, or perhaps your ancestors, and Gaia. And it's all invisible. It's one of the spaces between the spokes. So let's stay there for a moment. The biggest unseen thing that humanity has not recognized is the reason why you're here. Oh, I chuckle because it's so big and it's so grand and it hides. The love of the Creator has no bounds, cannot be measured, cannot be understood. So often it is seen as something else. Incredible love is seen as discipline somehow because that's all your brain is allowed to do. Sometimes the Creator wrongly is then attributed to the human father. It's not that way. It isn't. It's the human mother and father. You cannot genericize God. It is enormous, it is huge, and it waits on the outside of each human Merkaba. It waits to be invited in. That is the definition of free choice. If you could define the shift on this planet differently and leave out the history, the prophecies, all of the stars, what would you call it? Let me give you another definition. It's the enhancement of free choice of the human being to finally open the door to the love of God. Now, as you sit there, not the ones listening to my voice necessarily, but the ones who are on the mountaintop of Hawaii, as you sit and know of the history here and all the things around you, are you aware of a new opening? Perhaps of new energies that you really didn't know of before. Those teachers in the audience, listen. One of the hardest things for a teacher to do is to give a reading for themselves. It's almost impossible. So let me give you one. Get out of your box. You think you know what's here and you don't. Repaint it. Give it another color. Expand it. Let it go. Now don't mishear this. You're going to use everything you know and have known as the foundation for a new building that's coming. The foundation is the core that you've learned in the old energy, and the building that you're building is going to be the ones that are in the spaces between the spokes. The invisible, the compassion, the love, the reasons, the whys. Why you're here is because of the love of God. This is the greatest love story ever told. That the Creator would put God in you and let you find it. Free choice is needed. We've told you this before. The Creator of all things, the highest of the high, is biased in love, not in logic. Therefore, sometimes it needs human beings and the intellect and free choice to steer a ship of linearity for the galaxy that couldn't necessarily be steered with a biased God of love. Think about that one. This is difficult, advanced information of why you may be here. The planet has awakened. There are so many new energies, not just enhanced one, not just more light, but new light and new energies yet to be named that are here, that are waiting, that are coming, that used to be taught right here. Now, as you sit here, all of you, can you go into a new energy that has no name? One that would not only heal the things that you came with that are inappropriate for your magnificence, but also give you the peace that you have been asking for a lifetime. This is the place where it starts. The seeds are planted here for humanity. They are planted here today for you. What seed could be planted where you would leave these mountaintops differently than you came? Seeds of newness that will start to grow, that you will feel, not only with more energy and more health, but feeling better about yourselves. Instead of what you carry now. Some of you literally exist from day to day. Let me tell you, I know who's here. Do you? I know you. It's time for you to know God better in new ways. Expand what you were taught by anyone to now include what you don't know. Here's the test of a mature light worker. Celebrate what you don't know. And you can do it. Dear God, I feel something is here, something is coming. I have no idea what it is. Thank you. Dear God, I am comfortable that I'll be shown when it's time. Thank you for your timing. Dear God, I know in the past that I pushed and I've asked again, and then I've asked again. Let now we expand past the bubble of need to know and go in new energies that we don't know of yet, that will flow through me and create a conduit for others to see oneness through me, oneness through me. I'm going to do something I've never done before, because it's time and it's right. And I ask the forgiveness of the two on the stage as I do it, because I'm going to tell both of them something that they cannot tell themselves. Because a human being, even a channeler, cannot read themselves. Oh, dear Pragit, you've sensed it coming. I know you have. There's something new coming. I said it. Out of Stargate pours something new, something very new, something enhanced. Alcazar is birthing another entity for you to channel that is great and loving and beautiful. And when that entity comes to both you and Julianne, it will then enhance your work greatly. You felt it. You will name it, sir. And the one next to me, oh dear Marilyn. There's a woman sitting on your lap, dear, who wants to get through to you. Recently deceased, and you know who I'm talking about. And she is so proud of you. Her eyes are open. She's beautiful, like you remember. She's on your lap. Let her in.
just feel your body in your chair, your hands where they're resting on your legs, your back against the chair, nice soft neck. Let the top of your head just float up, open up. And notice if you feel any energy in the palms of your hands or really anywhere in your body. We've been together for almost 2 days now doing work about energy, feeling it, giving it, receiving it, exploring it. And I know that you feel differently than when you came here on Friday. So just enjoy that space, enjoy what it's giving you, enjoy how it's opening you, healing you, filling you up. So you may, whenever you're ready, open your eyes or keep them closed, whatever feels right to you. Our first question tonight is, how, Kryon, do we maintain our balance in a world that seems crazy out there and chaotic, where we don't know what's going to happen next or where? We don't know where we're going to be, if we're going to have a job, what the economy's like. How do we find our own personal balance in that?
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. Before the questions are answered, we wish to set an energy in the room of congratulations, of honor. We wish to remind you this. It is a sacred moment, one that is known by God in advance, not because there is predestination, but because the potentials are so strong that would bring you here, that here you are. If we were to go back in what you call your time, the potential existed when the meeting was struck, when the agreements were made, before the chairs were counted. The potential is that you would see and feel and interpret the energy. We're all here. And here you are this day sitting in the chair, whether you've been here for 2 days or you've just arrived. An appointment is at hand. And the answers to the questions are not the subject here. For we speak in what is called the third language. Yet again, we explain this as the catalyst language, the one that you sit in and soak up the love of God. And if you'll allow it, these moments will bring you closer to that which is and what is called the multidimensional self. For lurking, and we use the word lurk because it is not clear where it is to you, lurking in every single human being is that which vibrates very high. An extremely complex system, a plan, a benevolence, a love in every single one. Enhanced by the ancestors that you are and have been and are around. And now in this assemblage, also enhanced by the ones you've loved and lost who are here. So let us make it clear one more time. Who is here? You have a human being who's alive and well, sitting in the chairs, well enough to sit in the chair. And you have the others. And oh, human being, you want to singularize them, you want to say who they are, you want to give them names, and I will tell you, it's an entourage and it's an assembly that is bigger than you can imagine, who knows who you are, knows the reasons you came to sit. And during this time we call Q&A, it won't be for them. For you are opening your hearts and your minds for a little while, suspending reality for a moment in time. And they know that, so that perhaps they can whisper things to you while you are partially out of linearity. And perhaps you will even smell them, feel them touch you, and know that I am correct, that all things work together in a plan. Listen, there is no such thing as death. There is no sting in this. It is simply a recalibration. And when it occurs, and you return new, young, you return with full knowledge of all the spirituality that you've ever learned, dear ones. Should you choose to work with it, you can. There are those in this audience, in this assemblage, who need to hear this before I answer the first question, and it is so. When you were born, you knew your direction. You knew that contract was to come back as a light worker. You knew at some intuitive level. But with free will and free choice, many of you did nothing. And then there were some who did, and many who awakened to purpose and realized that they were more than they thought, that God was bigger than you were told. And then there are the ones, and I know who you are, sitting here now, and it's just happening now. And so I want to say congratulations for an awakening which is profound, for you will never be the same. May you walk out of this place differently than you came in. May the love of God hover upon you, and you would feel it so strongly that you would smile, even in the rain. Question has been asked about balancing. The word chaos has been used. It has to be worrisome in your culture to see what is taking place in this economy, in this country, and that is what we are addressing. Although I will tell you what happens here will happen in the rest of the world, it is the way it is. And this country often sets standards that usually then become that which is practiced elsewhere. One of the reasons you are here is because of that. For the old soul whose consciousness changes this country, changes earth. But dear ones, don't use the word chaos, because that's not what's happening here. You want to see chaos? I present this in the most loving manner I can. I want you to bless what you have and congratulate yourselves on the recalibrating economy, although it may be difficult. But it isn't chaos. You've seen chaos. And there are humans on this earth right now looking at chaos. Oh, let me take you to Haiti. Living in cardboard boxes without food. Orphans without parents who used to have them. And nobody cares. That's chaos of the highest order, and it is survival. And there will be those who simply don't make it. You don't have chaos here, and you're not going to have it. You've got to start understanding what is taking place so that you can relax within it and work the puzzle. There will be those perhaps who have lost their jobs, maybe even their homes. You're still eating. You're still loved. You may even still have transportation and hope. That's not chaos. What this country has done in these last years is what we foretold you would do. 3 years before that which you call the recession, I told you it would take place. It is published in the Kryon books that some of the largest corporations in this fine country would fall. That one of the largest institutes would fail, called insurance, and it did. It was number one. And these have crashed for a reason, because the old system of banking, insurance, and greed cannot stand up with a new consciousness. And in the process, the fine balance is to take them to that point, not where they will crash, but where they can still sustain the economy in a marginal way, so there isn't chaos, so there is food, and there is caring, and there is health care, while they rebuild. Give yourself another 3 years. Watch it start to improve. The rules are so new that even those that call themselves bankers don't know what to do with their money. Too new. Still demonstrations outside that which you call the exchange, showing disapproval even now with the system of greed. Watch for a balance to occur that is fairer for all. Watch for banking and insurance to start progressing to something that it always should have been, but never could achieve in an old energy of greed. Oh, also watch for some steps backwards and then forwards. For the greedmongers are always there. And they will try things to pull it backwards, to get their way. Only this you'll watch. For the first time, public outcry will create an almost instant reversal every single time they try, and that's a first. In the past, when they wanted to pass those kinds of rules so they would make more and take less from you and more from you as they deemed proper in their own minds, all they had to do was do it. And now they can't, because everyone is watching. And what did we tell you some years ago? There would come a time when everyone can talk to everybody, and there can be then no secrets. This is the key. It is the key for you in your endeavors to hold the light in this country. Will build a new system slowly that will then create again the kind of abundance you were used to. The unemployment rate will start going down. And you will recover. And you remember these words and the timing. And perhaps then you can look back and say, it was worth the effort. It was worth the effort. Balance yourselves, light workers, and understand what is going on. It's what you signed up for. It's why you're here. I dare you to celebrate the recession.
Thank you. So the second question is a couple of parts here. What, if any, are the physical symptoms of ascension? And am I not being spiritual if I go to the doctor? And at what point do I seek medical attention?
Fine questions indeed, for they start a discussion that is appropriate and true. Knowledge that should be given to the light workers about these things have to do with a fine line you walk. Indeed, in your culture, in your society. Part 1. The question about the symptoms that are physical about ascension is easy. Look for joy. Look for joy. Can you be among the ones who think it's chaotic in your economy and be joyful? If you can, that's a physical sign. Can you be joyful in the presence of chaos? Can you go to work at a company who's been cut to the quick, and you're one of the few who's left doing twice the amount of work at half the pay? And can you be joyful being there? Even though others show up and complain, can you be joyful there? That is a symptom of ascension. It is easy. It is easy. So there are those who are saying, I can't do it. I hear you. I want to take a moment and lay my hand on you. It is not that hard. When you can take the hand of Spirit, it isn't that hard. If you're going to go it alone, it is hard. And that's the difference. I can hear your tears. And that's the difference. And we pause. And I clear my partner's mind. I don't want him to feel what I see. How long is it going to take you to cross this barrier and take the hand of Spirit when it's outstretched the way it is? Invention, science, medicine on this planet has all increased in the delivery of its sophistication by design. Have you ever seen or noticed that invention on the planet happens simultaneously in many places at the same time? This would tell you, would it not, that consciousness is a field, and then when it's right for these things, they are placed upon consciousness, and many humans receive it at the same time. The invention of flight was a race to who could do it first. Almost within days, you won. Invention of the radio, all given at the same time. Even today, disputed who did it first. And so we tell you that which your doctors have, the sophistication that they have, the instruments they have, all God-given. It's a combination of going to those who are medical doctors, and that which you can do yourself. It's a combination. It always has been. It always will be. Always will be. Until that time when your DNA works at 100% and you can heal your body instantly. But at this juncture where you have DNA working at 30%, there is only so much you can do for yourself. You can start a process, and then you can have the doctor measure it. The teacher Sid is walking today differently because of a miraculous operation that he underwent weeks ago. And that is not something he could have done himself. Not yet. Even the healer had to take advantage of that which was God-given to the doctors of the planet. And he is alive today, walking today, will live longer today, and be a healer in a place that needs it. Do you understand what I'm saying? In all appropriateness, use the things that your intuition will tell you you need from that which you call the medical profession, which is God-given. The knowledge, the instruments, the technology, all appropriate, all for you. It's a combination. There'll be some things that you can do for yourself that used to be that which you'd go to a doctor for. Innate is going to become a sharper instrument. That is to say, it will be able to do things now with you and for you, especially chemical balance in the body that can never be done before without the assistance of drugs. There'll come a time, and not too far, where light workers will be able to only take a fraction of the insulin for diabetes. It'll be almost like a tincture in homeopathy. They'll still be able and must have an injection, but it'll be extremely small compared to what they used to have in the insulin, giving a signal to the body in what to do instead of having the drug do it. This is what you're to look for. Certain kinds of medications that you're taking now, you might experiment in cutting them back very, very slowly and safely, measuring what is taking place, finding that you might not need as much because the innate is starting to work better. DNA is starting to be more improved in the percentage of efficacy. You understand? This is the new energy. Don't do anything foolish, but push the envelope.
The next question concerns the evolution of the human's consciousness and how it is in relationship to the rest of the universe as we evolve.
Incredibly insightful. And given by somebody who already knows the answer, or they could not have constructed the question. One modifies the other. From the beginning, we have told you that this planet is a test of energy. It's not a test of humans. Do you understand the difference? It's a test of energy. In what direction and vibration will the energy of the planet go when measured by those entities called human beings, which are really angels in disguise, walk among that which we call the entities of Gaia? The test of Earth is about the universe. And we have told you this, it is the only planet of free choice, the only one. If you want to know the lineage of how this has worked, a benevolent God creating the universe with intelligent design, there's a plan. And there are planets that are populated even today that used to be the only planets of free choice. One of them, which will become nameless, is your seed. And that is in the Pleiadians. And they were the last one. They passed the torch to you. Approximately 100,000 years ago, the earth began to be seeded. The creation story is well known, has been told over and over by myself, and now the earth sits in that fulcrum of testing. And it will do so for a great amount of time until the vibratory level is high or not, when it is tested finally. Not in your lifetime, not in the next lifetime, not in the next 10 lifetimes will this take place. There is much time left for this planet to be then measured. Let me rewind what you call your time clock. And let us go back almost 200,000 Earth years. And I want to place yourself not here, but on a nameless planet where the Pleiadians are, in the Seven Sisters. And they were on the cusp of graduation. Let me describe a planet that is at peace. Oh, dear ones, they're here. You know they are. There's a benevolent, caring seed of you. And they shine like the sun. They became quantum. They became multidimensional. They found their higher selves. And their planet had a complete and different purpose: to seed yours, to watch over yours, to make sure that the test was accurate and true. Oh, dear ones, I'll tell you something I've never said before. This is a sophisticated group. You need to hear it. It's the Pleiadians who keep the riffraff away from you. And they do a good job, so that the test will be unmolested. I told you once that this planet is hidden. That most of the planets with the kind of life that would sustain that which is like humans have two suns. And there's a reason, because two suns create a far greater chance of life beginning and photosynthesis to take place. You lost one of them. You only have one sun. So those who are looking for life are looking in the wrong place. If you want validation of this, I will tell you this. Your astronomers are looking for planets. Over 1,000 of them have been discovered so far. They've just found one with two suns. It exists, and they're going to find more. And as these things unfold, you will see the prophecies of Kryon. And the words from me are starting to make sense. Now this earth holds a test. Go back with me 200,000 years. On the other planet, in the Seven Sisters, there was indeed a graduation. I cannot explain this to you, for it's not in 3D. But let me tell you this, that when that planet was measured and seen for what it became, the rules of this galaxy changed. Your universe is this galaxy. Other galaxies, different rules. Other galaxies, different physics. There is no one physics for the universe. So think only on your galaxy. That which is in the middle contains energy you have not yet discovered. You have no idea what it is or why it is. It is a multi-dimensional energy that defies all physics ever known. It's far grander than a black hole. It's part of the plan. It provides communication. There's even spirituality there. The universe, made of these galaxies, all have tests going on. In this galaxy of yours, you are the only planet of free choice. 200,000 years ago, this galaxy changed phenomenally. The rules changed because of the Pleiadians. You're the next step. Now, here's what you should know. The alignment that you're in, the 36 years you're in, all of these things coming to a fulcrum, to the midpoint of the solstice, is the grandest thing we have ever expected and seen from you. Over and over, you have failed to cross the bridge until now. And you can find many prophecies that said you wouldn't. That's how common it is. You'll find more prophecies that said you wouldn't cross this bridge than those who said you would. And you're sitting right in the middle of the bridge and crossing it. I speak perhaps in terms that are metaphoric, so let's clear it. My partner is saying, say it again, clearer. This planet is headed for the same place the Pleiadian planet made it. And this is the 5th try. And it's working. and you have free choice to do anything you want with it. But when the Soviet Union fell over, and when the other things that you see started to fail, that used to then promote that dark energy, including what you call the Illuminati, they're not here. Oh, they're lurking, but they're not controlling anymore. The internet would never have happened had you not had this enlightened place to put it, where everyone could talk to everyone, enhancing and accelerating this light of yours. Yes, the Pleiadians had the internet. How can I be clearer? You can take this anywhere you want to, but the ball is rolling. The relationship between you, your ascension, what you do here, the crystalline grid, affects this galaxy right in the middle and changes the rules. And right now I'm telling you, you look to be just like those who seeded you. Congratulations. And remember, it's not over. You can do anything you want with this. You can pull it backwards, or you can keep it going. Lightworker, that's why you're waking up.
Kryon, you've spoken about the new earth. Can you tell us if that's been changing, and where exactly is it?
Question was just answered. You're sitting upon it. The new earth is the description of a planet that no longer has energy, which will take you to war. The new earth is a description of a planet who is ripe and ready for human beings to live a great deal longer than they live. Doing it on their own, through chemical balance, through DNA enhancement, through medical science, through supplements, through discovery. The new earth is an earth that looks so different from the one of 100 years ago that a visitor coming back 100 years later and arrives today will say, "What happened here?" You sit upon it. You're part of it. And the promise is great.
Kryon, you've written books and spoken a lot about our indigo children. How can we, as parents, and even those of us who are not parents, support children with ADD and ADHD diagnoses, and how can we honor them in the public school system that we have now?
Let us be clear that Spirit did not identify them as indigo. A human did. For Spirit, these children are simply children of new consciousness. Now, my partner made a point earlier to say that there is no such thing as generalization of consciousness. And just as it is true that every single one of you is remarkably different from your lives, from what you believe, to the path you're leading, spiritual beliefs, and what you must do. Every child who enters this planet of new consciousness is at different levels of it. The ones who are the highest level, that is to say, the ones who are the most quantum, you have a name for. Autistic. They are savants. They have no linear barriers in their brain. They are ultimate uber conceptuals. And they have an incredibly difficult time with your linearity. The parents in here of an autistic child know that when you speak to them and they look at your voice, if they will even look in your eyes, they can't understand it. You can see their brain struggling to put the words in a row, to place them in their brains in a row. That's how you speak. That's the linearity you have, and they don't. And they struggle to linearize. You're going to discover how to work with the autistics eventually. And it's going to come with you becoming more conceptual and giving them burst information that they can understand. And it may take some technology that you have not seen. You go on down that scale of enlightened conceptual human beings that are being born now, and you have then what I would call the mode, the average. The children are coming in far, far less linear. And so that is to say, they want discipline, they want understanding, and they want teaching in conceptual ways. They have scoped the energy of the puzzle and have the answers ready before you open the door. They know what they know long before you tell them what they should. In school, they're bored. They're bored. You cannot give them pablum when they see so much more the whole meal. Learn how to teach these children conceptually. Number one, give them the meal first. Give them the payoff right away, and then find out what they want to know about it. It's backwards. You start by giving them the facts leading up to the payoff. If you're going to teach algebra, you have to start with math. You have to start with the principles. You have to start with this and that. Why not start with algebra and ask them what they don't understand? You see the point? Show them what's happened on the earth. Give them a synopsis of human history and ask them what they'd like to know about. There is a new way of teaching afoot. And it's exactly backwards than you think. And the children are going to rise to the occasion, and it will be a challenge. It will be exciting. It will be a puzzle. And you're going to have to work harder at it because each child is going to have a different path. There are schools operating in this way right now. Study them and see them and try to slowly implement these things where they're not being implemented. And now the obvious. Don't wring your hands and wonder what is going to become of these children. Let me tell you what's going to become of these children. They're going to be so disappointed in the way school works, they're going to become teachers and change it. You see? Look at their age. You got a 10-year-old who is struggling, not doing well, bored in school, having trouble, 10 years old. Look at the age. Now, how old is he in a decade? A simple decade. Old enough to be in that study group. Perhaps even to have graduated and be on the cusp of his degree to be a teacher. 10 years, that's all. It's happening sooner than you think. And then another 10, and they will be the principals, the administrators, what you call the bean counters. It will make a difference. It's on its way. So understand what I'm saying. That the consciousness now is not going to stay now. And yes, you may have to have the old energy stay until it retires. And some of you know exactly who I'm talking about. And then the opening comes. And you'll start to slowly see the change. Oh, dear ones at home, if you have these children, this is so difficult of a concept to understand. They know about your relationship at home more than you do. They know the energies, the difficulties, the puzzles. They're not like you used to be. These children have a concept of life. They have a concept of consciousness. My partner tells the story, and I will as well, that in an older energy, when parents fight, the children hide. For it threatens the very survival of their hearts. Worst thing that the children could ever see would be trouble in the family. And you know the hurt that's there. and the fear in their eyes as you find them in the closet later after the yelling match is over. Oh, that is not the conceptual child. For the conceptual child will see what is happening, stand his ground, and offer suggestions. Conceptual puzzle solvers. What happens when a human being sees concepts? I will tell you, they are very fast to see the answers. A linear human has to walk through the linearity of the puzzle, piece by piece by piece. And by the time he gets to the last piece, he's forgotten the first. And the concept may never appear. And that explains politics. That's a Kryon joke. The children of new consciousness are also going to be your congresspeople. And you're going to see conceptual solutions to problems that have been hanging on the shelf, unsolvable for decades. But when the conceptuals arrive, they'll see it as a group. Bam. Problem solution. They work together. You'll still have a party system. You'll still have disagreements, all of the things you have now. But you'll have concepts you've never seen. And there'll be some of you who will slap your heads and say, why didn't we think of that before? And the reason is because you're looking at a different kind of thinking. It's more enlightened. Oh, not all of the children are enlightened, but most of them are conceptual. They have the same opportunities you do to find that which is their higher selves. They're not born spiritual any more than you are, but they're born conceptual. So that's what you can do. And the final one is this. For the teachers in this group or listening to this channel, for the teachers, you've got to look into their eyes and treat them like your brother and your sister. You can't look at them and understand and figure out how old they are, what they might know or not know. You got to look at them like a peer and explain the issue like a peer and ask them what they would do and what they need. Instead of a situation where they sit in front of you and you're the adult and they're not, and they're just going to do what they're told. That's not going to work. They know better. They pick it up right away. They will dishonor you if you do not honor them. And some of the parents have already figured that out.
This question is about the consciousness of Gaia and human consciousness. And did that consciousness we call Gaia have a choice in incarnating as Earth instead of human?
An intellectual question. So now I give you the lineage, and you will understand better. You think of Mother Earth as the grandmother. Naturally, in your bias as human beings, mothers give birth, mothers nurture, mothers give instructions. They cook meals, they take care of you, they are the authority. Gaia is not. Gaia laid null and void until the humans started building the crystalline grid. And as the humans built consciousness, they gave life to Gaia. Therefore, Gaia, and the entity that you would call that which is the mother, became Gaia through the efforts of you. That is why Gaia reacts to your consciousness. As my partner was saying earlier today, the scientists have seen it. It is why Gaia reacts to what you do. Gaia is there as a nurturer. Big as it is, it exists to comfort you based upon what you have created, which is called Gaia. Therefore, it is backwards than what you think. I have told you these things before, dear ones. You and I, all of you, stood and watched this planet you call Earth develop from a piece of molten dirt. And in that, you and the consciousness of the piece of God's you are, put Gaia together. And as you then became humanity, you put the salt of your energy into the planet. And it then honored you. The portals of the planet are your resting places for the old souls. The cave of creation, which is that place where the Akashic record is located, beautiful for you, created for you. Therefore, it is Gaia who reflects human nature, human consciousness, the energy, and it is Gaia, ultimately, that the measurement is taken to find out how the earth is doing.
Well, this is our last question we have time for. And this question comes from a clarification about what you speak about, this side of the veil or that side of the veil, and the coming and going from one to the other. And will there ever be an evolution that makes that something that consciousness and incarnations don't do, and we all become totally luminous?
Let's ask a Pleiadian. And they're here. When they seeded the earth, you won't find any bodies. You know they stayed, don't you? They had to. And they committed what they would call their soul's lifetime to your planet. But you're not going to find any bodies. Now, why would that be? Ask an Aborigine about the ones who had the names which were not pronounceable. Ask the Aborigine about the 7 sisters, and he and she will tell you that they landed there, and they landed there. And they took up residence here, and you couldn't go there. No one could. It was too sacred. And how long ago was that? 30, 40,000 years. And this day, right this minute, they're guarding the same places and saying they're still there. They feel the energy. I'm giving you a roundabout answer to a very good question. The Pleiadians are in graduate status. They no longer incarnate because they don't die. The cold sore, that which is the core of the soul, is connected so strongly because they have quantumized all that they are, that they become the singular soul. Now my partner is saying, stop and start again. And I will. In the cave of creation right now there is crystalline, and that crystalline represents your soul. One soul, many lifetimes. You have to understand this. Like rings in a tree, you have one soul with many lifetimes. Right now your higher self is your best friend, and it has been your higher self every single incarnation. Therefore, if you want to touch the Akash, you better get in touch with the one who's been there every single time. That's you. It's the core. Now imagine a time where you become so integrated that you no longer need death. And instead, you come and go from one side of the veil to the other, just like you'd walk from one room to the other. You can hardly tell whether you're a creature of God or that of a planet. And at that point in time, the planet does not stop. It's hard to imagine such a place where it would seem to be half virtual and half in 3D, but that is what it is. There'll come a time when the actual planet itself of the Pleiadians disappear, and they know it. when they have alighted what they have in their vernacular as their Gaia becomes a high enough a consciousness, it will be just like them. Yes, as you come to a place where you are able to touch your higher self, and this spreads to other humanity, and it's not in this generation or the next one or the next one or the next one. We are talking about a lot of years. You know that. And when it takes place, and it could, just like it did there will be no death. There's 2 places on the planet right now that are very, very Pleiadian. You might say they have decided to reside there in their multidimensional states where there is no time, where they wait for you to do something. And now I present it to you. In the mountain called Shasta, they're there. Climb the mountain. You'll see them. Some of them will show themselves. They love you. You're a sister and a brother. The original teachers of Lemuria reside in the island of Kauai. And that is why that island has never been and never will be conquered by a king, by military, or government. It cannot be. For they live there. And they wait. They never died. They've been on this planet as long as the planet sustained enlightenment. 100,000 years. What are they waiting for? I'll tell you what they're waiting for. They're waiting for what you're doing right now. If you pass this 36-year timeline and plant the seeds that we think you're planting, that we see that you're planting very slowly, and sometimes what you think chaotically, you're going to cross that bridge that we said you were going to cross 22 years ago. And I promise you there'll come a day when you're going to meet them. And they're going to say to you, well done, sister. Well done, brother. And then and only then can they go home. And it won't be long past that you'll start to understand what it's like to ascend. Now that's the far future. And it's speculation based upon potential. It's not fortune telling. It's predisposed, not predestined. Big words. So let us finally return to where we started. You're going to have to balance. I told my partner to shut it out, and he did. I told my partner not to feel what I saw, so that he wouldn't come away with anything out of integrity. For it's not up to him to see those in this room who have secrets, or in trouble, or in confusion. But I see it. And I don't want to let this group of precious old souls leave this room without taking the hand that is theirs in the higher self. At least try it. And leave different. It is so available. And so difficult at the same time. For you to believe it, or believe you need it, or for some of you even to want it that bad. Fear of enlightenment is always there. Oh, shaman. Let's talk about the shaman and those in the audience. You got 3 of them, 1 credentialed. I know who's here. Think I don't know who's sitting here. What possessed you to get that namagar? What possessed you to become that which is the shamanic? And I will tell you, because this is what you did before. Only before it didn't turn out real well, if you know what I mean. And so you had to cross that bridge. And that's what you teach. How to get through the fear of enlightenment. Because old souls have made mistakes in the past when they awakened. And those in the villages saw them as different, burned them as witches, whatever. And here you are again. Witch and warlock. Shaman, holy men, holy women. I've said it before. What is the attribute of a holy man in the tribe? Do you remember? You got to live outside the tribe because you're too strange. You are shunned, so you live alone. But you're the first one they come to for help, right? Now does that ring a bell? And here you sit yet again. I want you to cross that bridge. Don't fear it. It's back, but it's back in an energy that is so different. The Pleiadians are in the room. And they're comforting you. In a way, your soul group is their children. Ancestors that are Lemurian in this room. You knew them. You saw their faces. Think of that. Cross the bridge. Don't be afraid. And here's the promise that we give you. In this new energy, you will not be seen as odd, strange, and different. You will be seen as balanced. That's the difference. Isn't it time for this? Let it begin this night in every heart here. And so it is. Again, we are here in a way that may seem strange to many. I want you to get used to hearing this voice. I want you to understand the reality that is here. You would ask yourself, human being, is this real? You might say, Kryon, I'm having a hard time believing. Believing that you're really channeling and that the voice comes from the other side of the veil. It's so difficult. If that's what you're saying today, human being, I will say, blessed are you. For these are honest words coming from one who is struggling to work out of the three-dimensional box. And what happens is that slowly, if you ask the right questions of your own self, of your own belief, of your own psyche, you start getting shown things you didn't expect. For if indeed it is a quantum experience on the other side of the veil, if indeed I am linearizing this conversation and presenting it to my partner, if this is true, this is a quantum experience. And that means that language is only a small part of it. That the audio that you would hear or the words that are seen on the page, such a small part of it. We have spoken of something called the third language. This third language, identified some time ago, is not a language in linearity, which is the third one. It is a language of the catalyst of the three. We use the three in numerology to represent a catalytic action number. That is to say that all of you have the ability to receive what is being given at a level which is quantum and not language, and not words on a page. Even the reader of this particular message can ask for a quantum experience and be in the session with those who are in the session. Art and music. We've told you that they are quantum. We have told you how you could go into the Louvre and watch a painting. That you can immerse yourself so completely that you can see and feel the artist creating it. That you become one with the creator of the painting. So much is there that is not for the human eye. And this is the one who appreciates the art. Music touches your very soul. All of the notes playing together in unison, in harmony. It is one of the only arts where all of that can be presented together and there's no limit to the number of musicians on a stage. But you can't do that with speech, can you? No limit to the number of colors on a palette. You can't do that with speech, can you? There's a little bit of quantum in everything, if you look. So look for it here before we start a message that is not going to be a quantum one filled with love necessarily, although it is. But we're choosing to do something unusual. We're going to give you some science. We've chosen perhaps an odd place for that, but we haven't. For we think in a quantum way. We wanted to come to this place. We want to honor those who built this building. We want to honor the ancestors who are listening. We've come to a very quiet place in the stillness of a Southwest in order to give a message of clarity, of purity, so that others will also receive it in that fashion. So it is not about the message at all, it is about the delivery. It is about the energy of where you sit. It is about the preparation that we give my partner sitting in this place. And so we will. When we give a scientific message, when we give suggestions, I ask my partner to go very slow. Some of this has been revealed to him and some of it has not. I ask him to proceed slowly, for it will be seen and read clearly, and much will be seen around it. For what follows in this message is not just esoterics. There will be a practicality, and there will be physicists looking at it. And that makes my partner nervous. It is not going to be complex. For even the one sitting in the chair who doesn't understand science will still receive what they need to receive through the third language, and will understand why these things are being given. And all through this, the entourage which is poured into this place, which represents the ancestors of all of you, resounds even with the builders of this building, of the consciousness that allowed it to be planned so many years ago. For the display of ceremonies that it has on a regular basis, and what that means to the earth and the land, to continue to hear the ancients giving the sounds that they have given for so long. All of this wrapped into this building, into this place where my partner gives a message of science. Not necessarily a long one, but one which you have to hear. It's about the environment. And let us start with assurance. Let us review one more time that what you are seeing in weather changes on this planet you have not created by yourselves with human effort. What you have called global warming is not global warming at all. And I say it again, it is part of a cycle that always was. The North Pole has melted several times and come back several times. It is a waxing and waning. The water evaporation cycle, it has been here before. It is here sooner than expected, and that is alarming. If you were to ask Gaia, the actual energy of Gaia right now to come into this place, Gaia would give this message: humans have not caused this. Could it be any clearer? And I give you this information so there would be no alarm sounded of things that you would have to change drastically and dramatically. Now, at the same time I would say that, I would say this: there is a mandate to change your energy. What you put into the air is significant, for it is a hazard to your health. What you put into the air hurts humanity, not necessarily Gaia. Gaia is more resilient than you think. Gaia adjusts in ways you don't expect. Gaia takes care of Gaia. Clean up the air, and you will live longer. And that is one of the subjects of today. It's going to get colder. That's one of the subjects of today. You're going to need more energy. That is the subject of today. And we have given you the steps of creating energy easily. And we've given you advice in the past. And one of them we wish to revisit. For it's time for you to think out of the box of three-dimensional when it comes to some of the things that we have discussed with you. You think in a straight line. You don't think past necessarily certain things that you assume. At the same time I give you this information, I will also tell you that this particular information is already known on the planet. It is the way of it. We do not give you something that has not already occurred to a human being. Free choice is what we have told you is the operative word, even in science. This must have occurred, and a human being must have had a situation where they're actually aware before we will give you a message like this. And the reason we do it is because one human being aware sometimes could do nothing about it. But the thought is given. When these thoughts are given to humanity, they normally land on the planet in more than one place. That is to say, epiphanies of discovery happen all at once, usually 3 to 4 times, in order to assure that they will not be lost. And so I am going to add this voice. There is tremendous energy available from the earth for free. It is not free energy, for you have to build an extractor to get it. But it's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It is called geothermal energy. And it goes like this. Below your feet, not very far, not really. It's hot. Hot enough for you to drill down and create steam. If you can create steam through natural process of thermal energy of the planet, you can drive turbines and create electricity. That will create heat. There are other ways to create heat as well, using even the geothermal heat itself. You're fond of steam engines, and you've been using them very, very long time, and you continue to. Today's nuclear reactors are simply very, very expensive steam engines. For you heat water, you create steam, and you drive turbines. So we are giving you something to think about. For nuclear power, as good as it is not clean. There is a side effect. And you know what it is. For there are waste products which are dangerous, and you know this. As clean as it is, there is still something you have to dispose of. Geothermal, there is no thing you have to dispose of. But it is dangerous. And now we open the discussion. If you can drill approximately 5 kilometers down, you will find enough heat. Now 5 kilometers to you is not that far in a straight line along the surface of the earth. Many of you walk that distance to school and work. It's not that far. But if you're going to drill down technically, it becomes difficult and dangerous. Not just dangerous for the driller, but dangerous for the planet. On the way down through the crust of the earth to the 5 kilometer mark, you go through pockets that you might know are there, releasing gas perhaps, releasing fire perhaps, releasing water perhaps. If nothing else, sometimes you interrupt what we will call the integrity of the lubricant of the shale itself. And what I'm saying here is you might even advance the potential of an earthquake, all by drilling down only 5 kilometers. And so I'm going to give you the answer. And now I'm saying, think out of the box. All along you're thinking that you're going to drill down and put a pipe with water in it. What if I told you you only had to drill down a fraction of that distance, and you could find enough heat to boil? And you'd say, impossible. Oh, it exists over the hot spots of the earth, but you might know it doesn't exist in most of the places we're asking you to drill. Well, it will work if you don't use water. It's time to marry the highest technology that you have on the planet with things you didn't expect to marry them with. And this is thinking out of the box. This is becoming a little more quantum, seeing the entire picture instead of just seeing what you think it should be. There are solutions, and you know what they are, and they're elegant, that will boil at a fraction of the temperature that water will. And this is the answer. Learning to use those substances and those fluids and that chemistry into a geothermal machine that doesn't have to drill down 5 kilometers. How about 2? And we tell you this because you're going to need to do this. And if you do it, and if the advice is followed, you'll find that the timing and the synchronicity of discovery is at hand. That is to say, you will understand these things will fall together. You will get the steam engine, and it won't take 5 years to build, and it won't be dangerous, and you don't have to cover it with a shell. Much easier. It won't belch smoke. It won't pollute. And you don't have to worry about being next to it. And it'll drive electricity. And you're going to need to heat homes and businesses. Because eventually, it's going to get cold. That's number 1. We're going to give you one other invention. Now, this also has been presented on the planet. This has been thought of and not acted upon. This actually is not all that new. But I will tell you that there is a situation at hand where it was inappropriately purchased and pocketed. So I'm going to give it to you so that the public can see it, and anyone with synchronicity who listens to the message and reads the words will understand it. Even you sitting in the chairs will understand it. And the scientists and the physicists will then have to implement it. The resource that this planet is going to need the most, as the population grows, as the weather changes, is what you probably already have guessed. Fresh water. Already it's becoming scarce. you will notice the snow is falling in the wrong place. The reservoirs are built for the old energy with the old weather. The aqueducts are built for the old energy and the old weather, and all the snow is falling in the places that are not obtainable for fresh water, and that will be the way of it. As the populations grow, scarce it becomes, and there is one answer. It is a profound way, when the earth is mostly water, to use the sea and the ocean. The ocean, of course, is not fresh water. And so you have to ask how to extract the salt. Desalinization exists today in a very inefficient way. Large amounts of water have to go into vats of containment and sit there, or large amounts of energy are used to heat the water in various ways, various attributes, various systems, some of them steam, some of them not, all requiring heat to take out the salt. It takes a long time. It's expensive. It's not efficient. It is not tenable to desalinate for an entire city. Only in places that simply have no fresh water at all is it used. So inefficient is it. Now I'm asking you to think out of the box, and I'm going to give you the answer. My partner, I want you to go slow here. Most of the cities on earth, of all of the countries on earth, the largest ones are on the coasts near the water. This is because over time, those coastal areas were the places where trade could happen with ships and ports. And so you end up with the largest cities being on the ocean. It's a good place to start, is it not? To get water for them from the source which they can simply look at and use. The answer is not that difficult, but it requires something that has not been thought of, really. The highest technology you have today has to do with the smallest of the small. You call it nanotechnology. That which is extremely small, even taking form as what you would call robots, that could be inserted even into the bloodstream, perhaps even to seek out and kill disease. That's how small the nanoparticles are. You're making them intelligent through chemistry, through logic, through electronics. And cleverly, you find that they can do many things. Now I'm going to give you a task. You're going to build a desalinization plant where the water never stops flowing, where it can be treated and salt can be removed and a byproduct created that you had no idea about. It never has to rest. It never has to be cooked. There is no heat involved at all. It goes in one end and comes out the other in a steady flow. In one end it's salty, in the other end it's fresh, ready then for purification. And here is the answer. Through nanotechnology, in the first stages of the system with the water flowing, you release enough nanotechnology robots that are assigned to find the salt and attach themselves to it. Except there is a caveat, and that every single robot is magnetic. I am the magnetic master, after all. All of the salt then becomes magnetic. It's not that hard. You have the chemistry for it. You have the nanotechnology. Think out of the box. Think out of the box. Chemist, physicist, you can do it. On to the next stage, flowing into the next part, tremendous, huge electromagnets, pulling the salt out of the water completely and totally because the salt is magnetic. Out it goes. Oversimplified, perhaps. But this is the way of it. No heat involved. Now, the byproduct? You won't believe it. Oh, and it will be controversial when you discover it. Magnetic fields applied to water often creates water that is quite healing. Do you see where this is going? What a device that might be. It will be quantum, you know, because it uses magnetics. And this is what we wanted to give you today. This is what we wanted to have recorded today. In this way, that you might hear it. There is so much more. And just in closing, I will tell you what we see in the future, and we're not going to give you a time frame, for there is none. This information I'm about to give you can be 2 generations away, maybe 3. But it all has to do with quantum invention. Physicists, listen, I'm going to give you something you already know is possible. It is another field of science. It flies in the face of everything 3-dimensional you've ever learned. Humans are funny. Even in the highest math and geometry you have, everything is defined in a straight line. Everything defined in a straight line. A circle is an infinite number of straight lines. That's funny. It's almost as though a circle didn't exist in nature, and the human has to straight line it for it to exist. Interesting, isn't it? I'm just giving you the bias. Bubbles have always been around. They're beautiful, you know. They're natural, you know. The circle is a natural occurring event in space as well. What you don't know, and you may suspect, gravity and magnetism all bend. They don't go straight. They never have. What about light? It doesn't either, when affected by the other 2. That ought to tell you something. Nothing is really a straight line at all. The only straight lines around are in the brains of the humans. You're not using the right kind of math either, and we've told you that. There is an elegance of math that is quantum. And if I begin to tell you about it, even in the simplest terms, it's going to seem overly complex. Quantum math uses something that is going to be discovered, and we're going to give it a name, and that's going to be influential numbers. Numbers that exist not with empirical values, but with values that are influenced by the numbers around them. 4 is not a 4. 4 is modified because of the numbers that sit next to it. In a formula, in linearity, in counting, each time a formula is manufactured in a quantum state, looking for a solution, all of the numbers are modified by the numbers next to them. They're influential numbers. The 4 is affected by the 5. Reduced maybe by the 3. And in quantum math, if you use influential numbers, dear ones, it is a beautiful thing when you find out the attributes of them and they are consistent. You will then have the formula for a circle being a whole number, not an irrational number at all. It won't be pi. It'll be pi solved. We ask the physicists to work it backwards if you have to get a whole number of pi. That'll give you a hint at what has to be done. Imagine mathematics with influential numbers, where each number is not empirical, but influenced by the one around it. I'm giving you high math now. And here's how it's going to serve you. Because when you start to understand it, you're finally going to understand what I'm going to call the holy grail of physics. That's a human term. In your straight line thinking, in your bias, you have all of your 3D formulas, don't you? And when you look at the basis of physics, you talk about those things which have mass. And in those things which have mass, you've even figured out atomic structure and density. All those things. And you think they're static, don't you? You think there is a formula that is for everything. If it has so much mass, it weighs so much in a certain atmosphere, a certain gravity. You've got it all figured out. And I will tell you that all of those formulas are 3D. And as soon as you become quantum with them, they all stretch. All this to tell you this: it is possible for you to alter the mass of any object in existence. It doesn't matter how large or small or dense it is. You can alter the mass of it, and you have thought all this time that the formula is static, and it is not. In Yugoslavia, there's a workshop. Historic it is, for the man who thought out of the box, Tesla. And in that workshop there are marks on the ceiling for the objects that took off on his workbench and went straight up. Shattered they did, hitting the ceiling they did. Nikolai was frustrated, for he had discovered massless objects and didn't know how. He thought out of the box, the only one in existence to ever give you a thought of how alternating current might work. Oh, it's more than 3D, study it. The same applies with numbers. The same applies with mass. And I will tell you that it is accomplished through magnetics. Always has been. And that was the experiment. In Tesla's time, without a computer, without any of the finite instruments you have today to measure what you have, he did it, but he couldn't control it. Frustrated he was. By the way, he's back. I'm not going to tell you where. Maybe he will listen to this and know what to do next. Clever it is how magnetic fields must be arranged around other magnetic fields. Even solutions that are magnetized to create fields within fields, sometimes at right angles, sometimes not, to give you a condition that will create a change in mass. None of these things are out of the purview of human development. How long it'll take? We don't know. That's up to you. But do you understand what it will change? That means that the things of science fiction are finally yours. What you call anti-gravity is simply an object without mass. It'll float, no matter how big. It's doable. It's in all of your science fiction movies. Maybe it's time to implement it. Kryon, why do you give us these things? And with this we close. We want you to stay here. even in love. We want you to stay here. And you're not going to have much luck with that unless you start thinking quantum. Unless you start accelerating the inventions and put some of the politics out of the way. For the countries which must do this are the ones that have the highest technical abilities. And they also have the highest influential structures that are in the way of it all. It is time for the population to understand this and turn the physicists loose and not strap them with those things that are difficult with burdens. And maybe you don't know what I speak of, but they do. Because we want you to stay. In the process, there will be life extension. In the process, there will be epiphanies. In the process, you might even find that this message was accurate and true. And then you've got a puzzle, don't you? Physicists, if you're listening to this, you've got a puzzle. Because who is it who is speaking from the other side of the veil, giving you information that is true and real and scientific? At some level, you're going to have to say, it's the piece of you. At some level, you're going to have to admit that the spiritual and the sciences have lied, and that the creative energy that created the earth and the magnetics and the gravity and all of the things you study is a piece of you. And maybe then you'll open up, and the things that you wish to have invented, all you have to do is open the box, because you already were there and you helped in their creation. How about that one? It all has to do with the puzzle. Is this real or not? Is Kryon real or not? Is love real or not? Well, some of you know, because you've sat in the presence of the Creator today, who loves you. This family on my side of the veil loves you. It's a wonderful Valentine message, isn't it? And so we say to you, dear ones, all of you, that all of the things that we talk about, whether they're scientific, whether they have to do with your Akash or your soul, the higher self, all of those things, there's only one purpose. To make the life you are living on this planet easier. For you to discover the compassion that is the glue that puts you together. That changes the earth itself. For the shift is upon you. And that which you call the 2012 energy is here. Let this be what it is supposed to be. A high time of consciousness, of scientific evolution with integrity, with an economy that is a re-emergent one with integrity, with government that slowly changes with integrity. Things that you would never put together, that in the past were oxymorons, couldn't exist together. Integrity in government, integrity in insurance, integrity with banking. All of these things, a new paradigm is upon you. This shift is difficult. And we have the warrior and the worker in the chairs in front of me. And they know it, because that's why they came. I know who you are. And I celebrate each one. And so